Here we go.
All right, are we ready to start?
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a content heavy uh, presentation. So if you have any questions, and I'm sure you will based on how much I'm going to be going through, jot them down, try and remember however you can, write them on a note on your phone. And I'm going to do questions at the end because I just want to make sure I can get through all the content before we like diverge because I tend to get distracted. Um, so if you haven't met me before, my name is Lin Boemer. I use they, them pronouns. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was born and raised in Golden Valley, and now I am a resident of the University of Minnesota area, where I'm a full-time student in neuroscience. I have a pharmacology minor, and I'm hopefully going to be a PhD student here. Fingers crossed, still waiting to hear back, but um, I am involved with ACW through their internship program. I'm a 2023-2024 intern for that cycle, and I've been loving it so far. I've been introduced to a ton of amazing opportunities through that. And you may be wondering, who's this kid and why are they teaching me how to sell stuff online? So my qualifications are that I've been doing it for a while, I guess since 2019, which would put me in my fourth year, soon to be fifth. I have been on Etsy since 2019, and I've also been utilizing Shopify for my job. So I am very versed in the ins and outs of where, why, how, what, and how to do stuff online and navigate that kind of space. And I've learned a lot firsthand about what to do and what not to do. So I wanted to share that with you all. And a little fun fact about me, I am a neuropharmacology research technician, which basically means the science of drugs that work on the brain. And I work with rats in a lab to study epilepsy. So that's my second job, not the one where I use Shopify. So, and then you may have recognized my artwork. I paint a lot of cats in funny situations. So I'm the artist. My business is called Lynn's Lame Life. So yeah, that's me. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I've got kind of like 4 parts to this that I'm going to be splitting this into, with materials, picking a marketplace, managing your site, and then time for questions. So yeah, we're gonna just jump into it with materials. So this is kind of what you need from the ground up to start an online marketplace, assuming that you already have the artwork. I'm not going to teach you how to become an artist, but we're operating under the assumption that you've already kind of done that part. So we've got the actual artwork and what it is classified as, the photos, which is what pretty much for all sites, the first thing that people will be drawn to, the title and the tags, which are the what is going to be searchable or findable for your work. So yeah, moving into it, we've kind of got 2 different facets of artwork that you can sell online. These 2 different categories kind of have different markets or different do well in different sites or different capacities of selling. So it's kind of important to know which you fall into. And most fine artists have either only original artwork or a combination of original artwork and replication of artwork. So original artwork can be defined as, you know, the one-of-a-kind pieces that you created hands-on, your paintings on canvas, your sculptures that aren't replicatable, your jewelry that, you know, can't be mass-produced because you did it by hand. Replications are things like prints and stickers and clothing and stuff like that. So it's still your artwork. It's just been not necessarily mass produced, but shifted in a way that it can be produced more easily, and maybe worth less because of that. That isn't to say that you still can't, replications can't be worth a lot of money. It really depends on what you put it into. It's just saying that usually smaller items or replications you can have more of them, but they might not be worth as much. So the biggest thing that this is going to affect is your pricing, which we will get to later in the presentation, but it's important to kind of like categorize yourself in either one of the two or both going into this. So what you've got to do is take good photos of your artwork, and that is easier said than done. God, I know it. But photos are what draw people in. They are the basis for social media. They're the first thing that people look at. You're never going to look at a title before you look at an actual image on websites like Etsy or Shopify. The photo is your foot in the door for you to hit the sale home. So you want to make sure that your photos look good, that they look appealing, that they look they represent your product well, and that they, draw people in. So I have taken all of my photos. I have an iPhone. I think this is a 13. I have no idea, but it is good enough for me to use to take photos of my products. It may not be in the future here as technology gets older and better and newer. But I do not have a professional camera that I use for photographing my artwork, and it has never been an issue for me. If you really want to get into it, you can buy, like a $50 Canon camera that's specialized for doing that kind of stuff. But a cell phone generally does the trick for me. So it doesn't have to be expensive to have good photos. The biggest thing that is going to make or break your listing photos, your photos of your artwork, is the lighting. Absolutely, it's going to be the lighting every single time. And I think this here was about my third attempt to take new photos of all of my artwork, where I would go and I'd take photos and I'd be like, okay, this is great, I've got good lighting, and then they wouldn't turn out. And as you can see, they're still a little bit dark, like they're not perfect, but I don't know how to edit photos, so we are rolling with what we've got. Basically, you want to have bright colors that draw people in, or vivid colors. It shouldn't look dull. It shouldn't look like you're in a shadow. And you want bright lighting if you can help it. Even if you have like a dark piece, having bright and natural lighting will help people to see the actual colors that are in the piece, which helps them form like, okay, would this match with my navy blue couch or my wall color? So the better lighting and representation of the coloring and such in your pieces, the better it's going to be for those who may be looking to purchase them. I like to take my photos outside on a sunny day because I think natural lighting will pretty much beat any artificial lighting I can get my hands on 100 times over. It takes some strategy because it's not always bright and sunny out, as we've learned here these past few days in Minnesota. So, watch the weather if you're going to go out and spend your time on it. And I think I took about 300 product photos one day in the summer, and then my phone overheated. So, you have to have some strategy with it. But generally you'll end up with something that you can be proud of. And these can be, of course, used for social media as well, or, if you need to submit artwork or pieces for art calls. So I always suggest, having good photos of your artwork is really great. Having good photos of your products is going to really help you online. And the other thing is that you want multiple angles. So like, how thick is something, or is there something on the back, especially for the three-dimensional objects? Like, what does the back of the canvas look like? Or, are there painted edges of the canvas? So you want to make sure that you take as many photos of the object as it takes to represent what the object is fully. If you looked at it and went, what is this? Could you recreate it like in your mind in 3 dimensions? So I'll show you an example of this later. It's easier for prints and stickers because they're flat and there's nothing on the back, which is what I do. But sculptures and everything, you want to make sure that people can see every angle of what you've got. And most sites do allow like a decent number of photos. So the other important factor are the descriptors of your artwork or your listing. So your title is going to want to be over the top. It doesn't have to be the title that your piece actually has. In fact, it should probably be that and then plus some. So like, if we go back here, I've named this piece Noodle Cat. It's pretty much just a descriptor of what it's depicting, but you want to make sure that it's showing up in what people are searching. So instead of, for example, cardstock Noodle Cat print, that doesn't immediately tell you what you're looking at. It would be 5 by 7 inch ramen noodle cats professional cardstock art print. And you can visualize exactly what you're getting when you have a title like that. And the more words means the more likely it is to show up in a search engine, which is always what we're fighting against as artists, is how are we going to get the search engine to show people our stuff? And then this can be built upon as with the description and tags. So most websites allow you to like have tags or some sort of like search engine item. So your description should help add additional context to what the item is, and your tags should again be descriptors. So stuff that will help with searching. So details about questions that people could have about your object, the quality, so what kind of sealant did you use, canvas details, how thick is it, where they would put it, like this would be great in a nursery or in a kid's room or in an office or something, where the pieces were manufactured. So I have details of like where I get my stickers from in my descriptions, whether the pieces were edited or if they're just, originals flat out. Again, waterproofing is super important for stuff like stickers, and they all add to the confidence of the purchaser. So if somebody gets something and they're like, well, I don't really know where this came from or what the quality of it is, they're going to hold off on buying it. But if they know, okay, this was waterproof, it was sealed 6 times, so we know it's going to last and hold up to light. The photos are good, so we know it's going to fit right here in our, living room, and the colors match, and we know those details. They're going to add to the confidence of people in what they're buying, and that's really what you're fighting against. Does somebody want to? Are you giving a good enough image of what you have as a piece of artwork to convince someone that it's worth their time purchasing it online instead of seeing it in person. So I also have stuff like color and material in the tags, and that's exclusively for search engines. So I've got a little example here. This is an actual posting that I have on my Etsy. So as you can see, I took all of these photos at the same time, and they are all in the same lighting. They look consistent, and they are all of slightly different angles. So the back of my prints is just white. So I don't think that people really want to see that. So I don't include that. But you can see I've got a little bit of an angle to show thickness, and then I've got this is a further away image that I've kind of cropped to make it fit. And then this is like a closer up image. So you've got a couple different options in terms of that. And then I've got my description over here. So I write it out like I'm marketing it to someone in person. So what better way to spruce up your living space? 3 cats wearing ramen cups as hats. I give it a story. So this will look great in any bedroom, dorm, playroom, or living room with these stylish kitties. So I just word vomit all over everything because it's usually going to end up helping me in some way. In the second paragraph, I have the sizing and where I print it from, the quality of the cardstock or the paper that it's being printed on, and then what happens, like a guarantee for if something happens to the print in shipping, because it's not always necessarily foolproof. And then where the design came from. So this was originally hand painted with acrylic on a 4-inch by 6-inch canvas. It was then scanned and digitally edited for quality, resizing, and color correction. So people know that what they're getting isn't the original. It's, the better version of the original. And then down here at the bottom, I've got some little tags that help with searching, and I could probably improve these a little bit. I'm not great at knowing what people search for, but what is it? It's a print. What is it featuring? Cats and ramen. Noodles are in there. It's a cardstock print. It's for cat lovers. So stuff like that. And in other paintings, I do have, colors listed out, like orange would probably be in this one, but this one I didn't have space for that. So this is just a little example of, kind of what you need to have together going into this. And this would be replicatable. I'm just having trouble with that word today. For each of the listings that you are going to have. So each item, whether that is originals or each print you have. I combine stickers and less expensive prints into one listing for ease of fees, but generally each item you will want to separate out and have this information for each of them. So now that you've got all of your stuff together that you need to have for a marketplace, you got to pick one. So which platform will work best for you and your artwork? This gets complicated because it's an overwhelming number of options. And when I was doing some research for this, there just kept being more and more options that came up. So this is just some examples. Don't think that this list is exhaustive. For some reason, the internet kept telling me you can sell things on Amazon as artists, and I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that would work at all. And there's a whole bunch of different sites like Shopify and Squarespace, but these are kind of how I've divided them into 2 different facets that have different options within them. You've got where is your traffic to the site coming from, and how is your art being shipped? So for traffic, you've got website generated traffic and user generated traffic. For fulfillment, you've got product is created and shipped via the website you're using, or the product is created and shipped by the user. So the difference between that is pretty much how much input you have into the product that you are creating. For the website shipments and creation, it's pretty hands-off. When you have the ones that are created and shipped by the user or the artist, it's pretty hands-on and requires you to have a little bit more input and influence on what is being sent out or purchased. So for the website generated traffic and the shipment and creation via the website, we've got sites like Redbubble, Society6, and Imprint. Those do slightly different things, and I'll explain on the next slide. The only one that I could come up with for website generated traffic, but it's shipped by the user, is Etsy. I'm sure there are other ones, but I couldn't necessarily think of any that slotted themselves into that category as well as Etsy does. And then user generated traffic as well as shipments are independent websites such as Shopify or Squarespace or Weebly or one of the other millions of options that there are. I don't think user generated traffic but fulfillment by a website exists. I couldn't find any for that option. So we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist for ease of this presentation. So going through each of these categories, this is where it gets real text heavy. So take this all with a grain of salt as I'm kind of reading it off here. But for the sites where the website pretty much does everything, you've got pretty much an endless option of products because they print on blank products using your design and then ship it directly from their warehouse. So you can have prints and stickers and clothing and shower curtains and notebooks and pillows and pretty much anything that they can print directly on. I've seen people wear around leggings with a specific design because you can print on fabric. So it's very interesting how it's done, and they essentially just take the design you've uploaded and given them permission to use and place it on things. So because it doesn't require you to be the one to print or fulfill anything, it's pretty low effort and management. You generate your new artwork, you scan it, photograph it, whatever, and you upload it. And then you promote it maybe a little bit. So both Redbubble and Society6 kind of are a catch-all for that. Imprint specifically does like higher quality, bigger prints, but they all kind of fall into the same basic category. The caveat to this is that you have ridiculous fees. Redbubble was the one I looked into this for an example. It's almost a 70% fee for artwork sold on their site, which means a 30% margin, but it increases with the more money you make. So it goes down to a 25% margin and then an 11% margin after account fees at $300 earned. So that's nothing. That's pennies. You're getting $30 off of $300 after all the fees. So you've kind of got the trade-off of the least theoretical work, but also the least customizable, you have the least control over it, and thus you're getting the least amount of profit out of it. So it's a good place if you have designs that are translated easily into replicatable artwork, as I said. It's not great if you have original pieces. Which brings us to website generated traffic fulfilled by the artist. So sites like Etsy are a lot better for artists that want to have more control over what they're creating, what's being packaged, and how it gets to the customers, the caveat with that is that you have to do it yourself. So the types of products are pretty much that whatever you as the artist can generate, whether that's getting prints manufactured or generating new original artwork or printing t-shirts or whatever. It's up to you, and you can only do what you can do. This makes it high effort. However, the management is kind of middle of the road. So you're required to create, manage, and ship the artwork yourself, which can be a steep learning curve, but it isn't super difficult to sustain. You learn quickly, you know, how to manage shipments, and how to, you know, maximize efficiency when doing shipments. You can have a pre-written thank you note. So it doesn't require as much work as creating your own website. It's because it's already on a website. You've already got, you know, your search options and everything. So you just have to place it all on the website. You don't have to do much to promote it on the website, but you do have to fulfill it. SD fees are okay. 20 cents per listing upon posting plus a 6.5% transactional fee. I estimate probably about 10% goes to that, and I think that's been a high estimate, but comparative to receiving only 10% as compared to 90% of the artwork that you are selling, I think it's marginally better compared to Redbubble. So there are additional fees that can be incurred using like a promotional feature if you want to like promote your artwork through their search engine. But oh shoot, where did it go?
Oops.
But I still think the fees are way better. So, and just a brief additional note, Etsy has been getting some flack recently from artists because they're becoming less of a great website to be used. It's kind of best for replicatable art, such as stickers or prints, because the search engine basically continues to promote items that have sold previously. If you have original artwork, you're not going to sell more of that original artwork. So you kind of lose that theme that you have with that specific listing. But they've also been getting in a little bit of trouble, like I said, because there's kind of been an overrun of mass-produced and AI-generated art. So people who have a shirt printer and just slap a design on anything and then have a team of 10 people who just ship out, you know, hundreds of shirts per day with God knows what on it. So it's getting more difficult to make a splash on Etsy with being an independent or self-run artist, but it isn't impossible. And I think they've been making some steps to try and fix some of that. At least I sure hope they have been. We've also got artist-generated traffic fulfilled by the artist. So it follows a lot of the same ideas as ones that don't rely on artists or that don't rely on artist-generated traffic. You've got the same kinds of products because you're shipping them, so whatever you can come up with. But it's also high effort and high management because it is entirely your responsibility to create or design the website, manage the website, generate and manage the products, market the website and artwork, act as customer support, and ship the art. And that's just some of the things you have to do. So it is very involved, but also allows for a lot of customization and influence. I know people who have a Shopify site, and part of it is their portfolio, and part of it is their actual shop. So you can use the same website for multiple things. And the other benefit to that is that there are super low fees. So it's a hosting and credit card fee, essentially. And that's a base of $29 a month, probably around 30 to 35 on average, plus 2.9% plus 30 cents fee per transaction. And that's the lowest you're going to find. It's not going to get much lower than that. Pretty much anywhere if you are looking to sell your art through a website you haven't developed from the ground up. That makes this the best option for higher end original artwork because you've got a place where all of your original artwork lives. You can have a portfolio of all of the pieces you've created in the past. You have a customization option for pretty much anything you want to put on there. And it's going to be profitable if you sell like one item, one large scale item per month. So take that with a grain of salt because it really relies on promotion, but you know, those same kind of principles apply. So I've got a little summary here based off of those traffic and fulfillment categories. When the website does everything, it's low energy to start and manage, but low payouts. So you have to have very high volumes of what you're selling to, make a profit pretty much of any kind. I mean, you'd have to be selling thousands and thousands of dollars worth of merchandise to have income from that. It can be good as like a side thing, but definitely, it's not a primary source of income. I don't think for pretty much anyone except for those who have gotten very lucky. When you've got website generated traffic, but products that's shipped by the user, it's higher energy to start and then manage, but it's a really good middle ground to start off with, especially if you are in a place where you can't necessarily spend $29 a month on a website. So you have someone else host it for you, and then all you're incurring as the artist is, what it takes to post stuff, and then something if it sells, but no worries if it doesn't, because you only paid, $1.80 for the artwork that you did post. And it just stays up and it renews every 3 months, but $1.80 every 3 months, whatever. The ones where the user does everything are the highest energy to start and manage, but also allow for the most freedom, as mentioned before, and theoretically could be the most profitable. Although you could have success with any of these three options, it could be the most profitable from the get-go, is what I mean there. So we move on to managing your marketplace. What is it going to take to launch your site? So now we get into the unfun stuff, like pricing. It's difficult to manage. You have to cover the cost of materials and the time it takes to create the artwork, obviously paying yourself as the artist, but you also have fees to post, host, and sell your artwork through these sites. So you kind of have to walk this delicate line that is not as explicit as selling your art in person. You get one fee to have a table at one market, and then you just have to make up that much, and then you start profiting. But in this context, it's a charge per item. So you have to calculate it out so that each item is priced appropriately to cover those fees, while still not sacrificing the value to you as the artist for those items that you're selling. The good news is that there are a lot of people who have kind of already gone through this process, have done the math, and have found, reasonable pricing strategies. If you peruse the sites a little bit, you will most likely have some success with pricing. I have followed a lot of other people in pricing my prints and stickers. Generally, $3 to $5 is what will sell for stickers pretty well, and $10 to $15 sells for professional prints. So I'm right in the middle of all of those. And I found that out through just doing some of my own research on websites like Etsy. This being said, it heavily varies per individual. And I would encourage you to kind of do your own research on pricing, because it can depend, and it depends on so many things, and especially with how much we have been having supply chain issues, it can vary so much from day to day that I don't want to give you advice that's immediately outdated. But the other part of that is that these platforms are always trying to change their policies, their fees, and pricing. So just keep an eye out for any of the sites that you are using. Sign up for a newsletter and just be aware of like, oh, that's raising 3%. So I have to raise my price a little bit to make that, still the same profit margin. So just make sure that you're keeping up to date on news in that regard. Surprise, did you forget about shipping? Because I sure did when I started out. And it's not fun to learn about shipping and all of that stuff, because shipping is the killer of online sales. It has happened to me so many times that I can assure you that it has happened to pretty much everyone else. If, for example, if your item is $10, but it costs another $5 to ship, you're expecting the buyer to pay 50% more to get your item. And they're not getting any value instead of just getting the item out of that extra 50%. And that sucks, because shipping is its own special kind of nightmare in this day and age. I'm so sorry, is some staticky in here? I keep hearing this static noise.
I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, it might just be me then. Cool. All right. I have a broken computer, so wouldn't shock me. Anyways, with rising shipping costs, it's becoming less sustainable to sell your art online, and that's just how it is. It's getting harder to do as compared to easier, because everything is more expensive these days, and it is just hard to sustain. So shipping absolutely has to be a factor when you price your art. So again, I can't offer a lot of advice in this factor. I've had more success with the prices of USPS as compared to UPS or FedEx. It is also, something that you kind of have to play around with. I like to use snail mail for stuff like prints and stickers, because it'll get there in one piece, but I'm only paying a couple cents per stamp. And it gives, people a little bit less peace of mind because it's not tracked, but it doesn't need to be, because it'll get where it needs to go. So, something to do your own research on as well, but make sure you do consider it, because if you're pricing a $300 item, but it takes another $50 to ship, it's going to be a heavier investment for people based on that shipping cost. And that's especially relevant with like smaller items too, because if you're selling a $3 sticker, but it takes $5 to ship it, then your shipping costs more than your actual product. So it's a fuzzy gray area and will take some thought, but that's okay. And another thing to just for you to think about, the good news is that most websites you can sell through offer pretty significant shipping discounts. I think Shopify has up to a 77% discount. And most of the time you go from like $12 at least down to $8 or $9 for base level 1 pound USPS package shipments. I'm not sure what that number is for Etsy. I just did a quick Google for Shopify. But if you go through those websites instead of doing it on your own, you're going to save a lot of money, especially if you're shipping a lot. So that is something to keep in mind. And it is a way to help combat those increased shipping prices, which is nice. So another note is for pretty much all online marketplaces, your marketing is going to be pretty much everything. You can have success by just, leaving stuff out there to idle in the void of wherever you've posted them, but you will have exponentially more success if you have a social media presence that points people towards what you are selling online. For independent marketplaces specifically, that's the only way people are going to find you. You're not going to show up on Google unless somebody specifically searches for you. So you need to have some way to point people towards your stuff. Website generated traffic, you can always find stuff with the on-site built-in search engine, but if you can get the ball rolling by sending people there yourself, your reach of potential buyers will expand exponentially. And unfortunately, this isn't something I can really help with or give a lot of advice for, because I'm really bad at social media. I don't post pretty much anywhere ever, and that has really limited my reach on sites like Etsy, which, it'll be what it is, but it's also important to note that you could have more success than I if you were better at posting on social media. It takes a lot of time and a lot of consistency, and that's just something I don't have right now with, finishing up my degree. So you'll have to go somewhere else to get advice on that. But I do have one piece for you to leave you with, is that if you post often and consistently, you'll grow a following, and that following will then, tell these sites, these social media sites, to recommend you to other people. So that's a good way to get propelled forward on social media. How you do that exactly, who knows? So, I've timed this beautifully. I've got a few final thoughts for you, and then we'll have some time for questions here. This has been an absolute crash course, but I do have some advice for you. There's so much I could be telling you and could be sharing with you. And even this can seem very overwhelming. Coming from an outside perspective, there's so many logistics that have to be handled. There's so much stuff going on. But if you take it one step at a time, you'll get there. And that's pretty much how I've done this the entire time I've been doing it. I have been a student, and I've just taken it one step at a time, and eventually everything gets pulled together enough for it to actually come together. So gathering your materials doesn't have to happen at the same time as your research pricing. It can take time to launch your website or your page, and that's okay. If you take photos one day and then you don't get to editing them for another week, and then you have to do, pricing research 2 weeks after that, that's okay. You're on nobody's timeline, and you're trying something new. So go for it. Also be warned that with the internet, people can be mean. It's not necessarily the most pleasant thing to interact with people through a screen. And generally, when you are behind a screen, nobody thinks you of the single individual person that you are, who is managing and juggling all of the factors I have mentioned, as well as an entire life outside of their shop. And you aren't Amazon, and you're never gonna be, and you can't be, because all of the heart and effort behind your art goes to waste the minute you start sacrificing things for it. So that is to be said. Set work hours for yourself. Don't respond to things on weekends. It's gonna be fine. Nobody's gonna die if you don't tell them about the vinyl material on your sticker until Monday morning. So just, be kind to yourself and understand that people maybe don't have the same perspective as you do. People will be upset with your shipping times. You'll get bad reviews, and they'll generally just not understand what it's like to run a shop. And that's okay. And it's okay to feel dejected. It's okay to feel, upset at your circumstances, and just know that there's a lot of other people doing this that feel the same, because selling art online has to reach a niche audience in which you can have some bad experiences in finding that niche. So that being said, the only way to learn is by playing. The only way to win is by learning. And the only way to begin is by beginning. It's one of my favorite quotes from Samuel Reich. It came from a game show. But that being said, is you can't start without starting. The only way is to begin by beginning. And if you're, learning and making mistakes, the only way to win or have success is by learning. And the only way to learn is by playing. Look, we've just gone through the whole quote. So you got to start somewhere, and that's okay, because we've all started somewhere. And, I'm doing this backwards. I did the online stuff first, and now I'm doing the in-person stuff. So it's, a learning curve, and you have to give yourself some understanding in that. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynn. I know you got to go in a little bit, so I see you're ready. Are you ready for questions right now?
I am, yes.
Well, I have a couple. I'm going to jump right in. So the Facebook, what do you think about Facebook advertisement, like for an Etsy shop or Facebook Marketplace or Instagram, as far as selling on there or marketing on there?
A lot of the people who market stuff on Etsy specifically are those large scale businesses that do tend to have just a ton of content that they're pumping out. I haven't tried it myself simply because I haven't gotten around to it, but it could be worth giving a go. I think it's always worth it to experiment with things and see what works for you and what doesn't. A 15% fee on Etsy, I think that's on top of the 16.5%. So you're gonna have like a 20% fee on what you're selling, but it might be worth to give it a shot and say, hey, I think it would maybe be best for smaller items where the 20% is like 60 cents, and then you're selling a ton of them. So it's 60 cents off of, 20 different orders, as compared to like one large scale order. So yeah, that's what I've got.
So with Shopify, isn't that kind of just a way for people to check out in a cart? Like, couldn't you just have your own website and then the way to like purchase stuff? Or is Shopify, you just create a whole site and then there's a purchase cart, what a store or whatever they call it.
Yeah, so Shopify's main feature is having a super streamlined sharing or checking out service. But they have a whole website. You can generate a whole website through this. So generally the ones like Squarespace is also, like a cart checking out service, or a way to purchase things. But I know there's like Shop Pay that you can use through different sites as well, but they have ways to build a website around that feature. And generally people really trust sites like that. I know PayPal has one where you can make a site through website, and like trust those checking out services. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. Deb, you had a question. You had your hand up.
I was just gonna say that I have a Squarespace and then I have a link to Shopify. So that works pretty well, but I haven't really sold anything. I mean, I just kind of got started, but my question was like how you juggle your different shops, how you know how to schedule yourself. You
Like if
set up,
you have more than one, you mean?
yeah, like if you had a Squarespace or you had a Shopify and you had an Etsy and then you added like a Nema, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering about juggling that.
I'm also a bad person to ask about this because I
Oh.
have the world's busiest schedule and I pretty much just do everything when I have time. Um, the
But I guess I just
more,
wondered if you had a system.
yeah, the more you have a schedule, the better it's going to be. Like if you get up right away at the morning and 9 a.m., you go through each of your sites and be like, okay, do I have any shipments on Etsy? Do I have any shipments on Shopify? Okay, did I post to my social media? Okay, those are the three things I do every morning, at least during the work week. And if you have consistency with it, nothing will ever get lost or slip away from you. Things only get forgotten about when they get forgotten about. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
a time in which you can specifically dedicate to this kind of stuff, you'll get things done much more efficiently and much faster,
Okay.
and to a higher degree of quality usually.
Okay.
Can I chime in and share a little? This is reminding me of a thing that I just started doing on Etsy. Is you can set it up to have an auto reply. So on the times that
Yep.
you are usually like asleep or weekends, you can make it say an auto reply to your customers so that they won't feel neglected. And you also don't get like Etsy wants you to be like a star seller, so they take off points if you don't answer immediately. So it helps with that answering. So they're all happy, but it's very helpful. I'm very glad I did it.
Yes. There are a lot of parameters on Etsy and Redbubble of like, do you have your social security number added so people know you're a real person, and how fast do you respond, and how many things have you sold? And it's all semantics. It doesn't really matter a ton.
Right.
But that auto reply is helpful.
Yeah. Lynn, how many do you sell more stickers than prints or more prints than stickers? Have you found that out?
I bundle them. So it's at least my lower quality prints. I absolutely sell a lot more stickers as compared to my higher quality prints. And that's true both online and in person because they're at a lower price point. They're less of an investment for people. And if you want art, you can put it wherever you want it to be. You can show it off. It's lower stakes in a way of in a turn of phrase. So it doesn't have to be something that's an investment. So stickers are definitely top of my list of stuff that's sellable for me.
Okay.
I had just a comment to make. It was about Redbubble and like places like that are completely passive as far as you're concerned for selling. You upload your image and they do everything. Yeah, they take a super high fee. It's true. However, I think it's how you view, like if that was your only source of selling, and maybe you said this, I came in late and I was distracted, so I'm sorry if you said this already, but if you view it as through the lens of just passive income, you don't have to do squat. You make your art, you throw it up there, you can forget about it. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't, type of thing. So it can be making money in your sleep. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to do anything. Yeah, the fees are high, but it's also money you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So, and I wouldn't view it as my only source of income, but as a passive source of income, it's perfect because you don't have to do anything.
Absolutely. And I think I did remember to touch on that a little bit earlier, but thank you for coming back around to that, because what I've been trying to do recently, and I've been slacking on this because I've got a degree to finish, but I've been trying to put my designs up on Redbubble because it might be more accessible to people, as compared to, you know, they have flat shipping for wherever, whereas I ship from Minnesota, so everything's going to be based on me coming from Minnesota. So I've been trying to do both my Etsy and a Redbubble. It's been hard to gain traction on that, and I've only uploaded the base 5 designs that they require for you to launch a shop, and I haven't had any success there yet, but I'm working on it, and I will report back on that if I have any further advice. But absolutely, it's totally passive. There's nothing you have to do once you've got it set up. So
Awesome. And I don't really know anything about this yet because I haven't looked into it, but somebody told me that fineartsamerica.com is they've sold so many things on there. I don't know their fees and whatnot, but I've been recommended not that now by 2 different people. Fine Arts America.
I think that falls into the website, the like uploaded design category. That came up on in my searches as well. I'm pretty sure it falls into the same category as Redbubble and Society6 and all of those, in which
Sure.
you upload a design and they printed on whatever. I clicked on it and they had shower curtains too. So I think they pretty much fulfill everything themselves. But I don't know. I haven't played around with that one yet. I'll have to look into that.
I've had a Zazzle store for a long time, and I describe the difference between Etsy and Zazzle as Etsy is your designs on your stuff, and Zazzle is your designs on their stuff. And so that's why if you want a skateboard with my designs, you can go to Zazzle. And so these third part, you know, those kinds of marketers have amazing things. And if I had more time to focus on, oh, skateboarders, come and look at my skateboards, I would probably sell more skateboards.
Yeah, like pillows and stuff. Like there's no way I could make my own pillows or shower curtains, but they're available in this stuff without you having to do anything.
Right,
so
right. It's very cool.
Cheap for the buyer, but I guess if you want my cool cat on a pillow that bad, you'll buy it. So
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Do you have anything on Printify? Anybody?
Printify, I think that's like in print, in which again it's another upload your design and they sell
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just wondered if anybody had experience with it.
I do not know.
I follow Europeans, artists that use the digital medium to print, and some Americans too. And they do use these services to do fine art printing and in the United States, and they sell it through their website. And in that sense, they've tested out the product and they know what the prints are going to be like, and they feel confident that if they buy them off the website and then that printing service sends it off to their people. So and yeah, I have stuff on Society6 and I get about every other year I get about $200-300, and I haven't played with it in a long time, and I find that really interesting.
Yeah,
I have no idea what they're buying. I don't know if they're buying shower curtains or whatever. And so yeah, and I have friends that do Fine Art American and were original people that did that, and they really liked it, and they really liked the print quality of that one too. So I do know people who have used these and follow people on YouTube who have, Europeans especially, who have used these services, but they tell you to check out the service first with your own printing, see if it comes to your standards before you use it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I'm actually wearing leggings.
Something and then, yeah. Okay.
These leggings are from Society6. I don't know who made them, but they've got octopuses on them.
Whoa, okay.
They're very high quality leggings if you ever put your things on leggings.
Where was that?
They're from Society.
Alrighty.
Society.
that's
Wow.
okay. Okay.
I didn't know you could lift your leg that high, Leo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to tell people about Snapseed Google for photo editing on your phone. It's a very powerful app. It's free. I have showed my friends at the California building, and you don't have to. You could change the lighting. You could change all sorts of things. You can heal it. And I think also Photoshop Express may be a free app, and that one has powerful AI for taking stuff out of your background that, you know, photobombed your background. So
What was
both
the
of those.
first thing, Candy?
Snapseed Google.
Oh, okay, I
They're
got that. Okay, okay.
Yeah, and
yeah.
Photoshop Express. They're both very powerful.
I
And
got
for
both. Okay.
and for video,
Great.
if you're doing video, CapCut is very powerful too, and that's also free.
Okay.
Oh,
I've got Express. I've got Photoshop.
okay. All right.
Alrighty, well,
thank
I
you.
am out of time here, but if anybody else has questions for me, my email is always open, linslifeart@gmail.com. This presentation will be going off with the survey that we have for you tonight, so make sure to fill that out if you're cool and want to help support ACW's efforts to keep doing stuff like this. I really hope you found this helpful. It took a little bit of time to put together, and I'm sorry it was a total bombardment of information, but you got to do what you got to do to get through the hour. So,
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Lynn. And
Thank
if
you.
anyone wants to just stick around it to discuss what they use as their platform online to sell, that's fine. So, Lynn, you can
Okay,
go.
thank you
ahead.
very,
And
thank you,
well, thank
Lynn.
you
Great
guys.
job.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
rest of
Lynn.
your
Thank you all. I gotta
evening.
go.
That was
Thank
great.
you.
I need
Bye.
to go too.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Lynn.
Bye.
Good job.
And hang.
Oh, if anybody stays, I will tell you, if you're going to ship things a lot, to check into speedy delivery. They are where we use them a lot, and they only ship in like the 5-state area. But if you got into like a ton of shipping, it's amazing, especially big things. If you're like, we're going to be shipping like big paintings, they don't care how much it weighs. It just, like, I've shipped giant boxes for $5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you pay like a weekly fee for them to come to your house and pick stuff up. So you have to be very regular, very regularly doing things. So
Super cool.
Wow. So somebody told me that they were on Etsy, they were able to ship a print. No, I mean, like the Etsy did the print for them, but
Yeah, yeah. There
Etsy
is a
doesn't print.
there is that. It's got very few. Well, I did it years ago. I didn't get any traction. It doesn't have a lot of megapixels, but it might have changed by now.
Oh, okay.
There's also Vita. Vita is a site that is run, might be still there, run by women execs out of the tech company in San Francisco. And they have, it's for scarves and things like that. And now they have dishware, but they teach people in places that need to learn reading. Women, it's up leveling women who are making these products. And so it's the scarves I had made were very nice. VIDA. Vita.
Oh, sounds like a great place.
And Shutterfly is starting to, that's local. It's starting to have artists in them. They're part of the group with Spoonflower and Life Touch, which is the people that take portraits for your schools, and a couple others. So you could check out Spoonflower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Not Spoonflower, but Shutterfly.
Shutterfly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because they're starting to feature artists.
Oh,
Great.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I think I will stop the recording unless anyone has anything else to say.